The scream was silent, but it tore through the air in the immense lobby of Laurent Fragrances. At the center of the black marble floor, an 8-year-old girl was curled into a ball, paralyzed by terror. Her small hands were pressed hard against her ears, her body racked with violent tremors, her face a white mask. Surrounding her was a circle of helplessness, bodyguards trained to neutralize physical threats, assistants paid to solve any problem, all frozen. Then, a man in a security guard's uniform stepped forward, breaking protocol and the general stillness. He moved with an unnatural calm, ignoring the confused glances of his colleagues. He didn't say a word. Arriving a few feet from the girl, he pulled a small metal object from the inner pocket of his jacket. A tuning fork. With a sharp, precise motion, he struck it against the heel of his boot. A single, pure note propagated through the air. A sound that was almost imperceptible, yet stable. Solid. An anchor in an ocean of sensory chaos. The note reached the girl. And as if by magic, her tremors ceased. Her breathing, ragged and frantic, began to match the rhythm of that vibration. And then, there was silence. True, deep, reassuring. Across the room, her mother, the all-powerful Isolde Laurent, queen of an empire built on intangible fragrances, witnessed the scene. Her face, usually an impenetrable mask of ice, was a blank sheet of pure shock. The man she paid to protect her glass palace had just accomplished the impossible. But before we find out who this man is and what secret he's hiding, take a moment. Write in the comments which city you're watching from. It's incredible to see how far our stories travel. While you're there, leave a like and subscribe. For you, it's just a click. For us, it's the fuel to keep going. And now, get ready to find out what happened next. Isolde's office was a glass fortress on the 50th floor. From there, she governed her world, a perfume empire built on absolute control and precision. The same precision she subconsciously demanded from her daughter, Lyra. But Lyra was made of a different substance. Her sensitivity was her essence, a gift that allowed her to perceive shades invisible to others, but also a curse that made her vulnerable. A sound too loud, a light too bright, and her inner world would collapse. In her desperate attempt to protect her, Isolde had tried to fix her. She had hired the best specialists, but they had only amplified the problem, trying to force Lyra to adapt to a world that was too loud. Now, in her sterile office, there was no specialist. There was Officer Reese, standing before her. "Who are you?" Isolde asked, her voice a tense whisper, almost an accusation. "Kalen Reese. Day shift," he replied, with a calmness that irritated her. "I don't care about your shift. I want to know what you did down there." "How?" "I didn't do anything that can't be learned, Mrs. Laurent. I just gave your daughter a clean sound to hold onto in the middle of the noise." Isolde stared at him for a long time, her analytical mind trying to decipher the enigma. "I want you to leave your post. You will work for me." "For her?" Kalen didn't look away. "I can work with your daughter. But I don't work for you. And I have one condition. When I'm with Lyra, the rules of your world, the expectations, the judgment, they stay outside the door." For the first time in years, Isolde Laurent, a woman accustomed to dictating every term, was told no. And, driven by a desperation she would never admit, she agreed. Isolde's penthouse was a luxury aquarium suspended over the city. A place of such glacial perfection it felt like the air was missing, where every object was a museum piece and every emotion was an intruder. Kalen entered the next day in civilian clothes, holding his daughter, Cora, by the hand. He didn't bring therapy manuals or medical equipment. He brought rhythm. Silence. Presence. While Cora sat quietly in a corner to draw, Kalen didn't try to interact verbally with Lyra. He sat on the expensive carpet and, using 2 small blocks of polished wood, began to produce a gentle, steady beat. Lyra, who usually hid in her room, remained at the threshold. It wasn't an invitation, not a request. It was a presence that demanded nothing, and for that very reason, it was magnetic. Isolde watched the scene from a hidden vantage point, and her analytical mind did what it did best, it broke down the problem and looked for a replicable solution. She couldn't accept that the answer was so simple, so human. There had to be a formula, a method. And she, as always, would buy the best. One afternoon, Kaylin arrived at the penthouse to find it transformed. Arranged on the marble floor with almost surgical precision was the most expensive music therapy equipment: Tibetan bowls of pure crystal, a set of professional gold-plated tuning forks, and acoustic diffusers for sensory therapy. Isolde had done her research. She had read every scientific article, every manual. "I understand the principle now," she told Kaylin, a note of triumph in her voice. "It's a matter of frequencies. Of harmonic resonance." Then, she approached Lyra. With a gesture that was meant to be delicate but betrayed a technical rigidity, she struck one of the crystal bowls. The sound that emerged was technically perfect, pure, crystalline, but empty. It was a sound without intention, without a soul. It was the sound of an experiment, not an invitation. Lyra, who had been calm just a moment before, went rigid. Her eyes widened. She perceived her mother's intent not as a gesture of love, but as yet another sophisticated attempt to fix her. Her reaction was instantaneous and violent. A crisis even worse than the first, a silent scream that seemed to say, "Can't you hear? You're not listening to me." In that moment, surrounded by instruments worth a fortune, Isolde Laurent understood her deepest failure. She understood that the miracle she had witnessed hadn't happened because of a tuning fork. It had happened in spite of the tuning fork. The secret wasn't the tool. It was the man holding it. And that was a truth she couldn't buy. From that day on, Kaylin's presence was no longer just an anchor for Lyra, but also a silent rebuke to Isolde. One afternoon, she found him in her lab, staring at a perfume bottle with a vacant expression. "You're afraid," he said, not as a question. "I'm not afraid of anything," she replied defensively, but her voice was less sharp than usual. "You're afraid of your own silence," Kaylin continued, with an almost cruel gentleness. "Because if you truly listen to it, it might tell you that all of this," and he made a vague gesture toward the luxury that surrounded them, "is perhaps not enough." The sentence struck her to the core. That night, Isolde didn't work. She sat in the dark in her perfect living room, listening to the sound of her own immense solitude. The change did not go unnoticed. Julian Croft, her loyal but ruthless marketing director, confronted her in his office. "Isolde, this proximity to a security guard is becoming a problem. We don't sell perfume, we sell status. And this story is cheapening it." Shortly after, Damien Roche, her opportunistic ex-husband, sued for custody of Lyra, presenting the judge with a file that painted her as an unstable and negligent mother. The bombshell was an online article on a luxury financial blog. Title: "The Queen of Luxury and Her Bodyguard, A Dangerous Fairy Tale." The stolen photos, showing them sitting on the grass in a park, went viral. The board of directors called an emergency meeting. The ultimatum was glacial: either she fired Kaylin, publicly disavowing his methods, or she would have to resign to protect the shareholders. Her empire, her reputation, the custody of her daughter. She was losing everything, and fast. The courtroom was a cold arena. Damien and his team of lawyers were predators in waiting. Isolde sat on the other side, stripped of her usual CEO armor. She seemed smaller, more human. Damien's lawyer called Kaylin to the stand, intending to ridicule him. "Mr. Reese, you have no medical qualifications, is that correct?" "That is correct," Kaylin replied. "Then by what presumption do you believe you can help a child with a complex condition?" Kaylin looked at Isolde, then turned directly to the judge. "I am not a doctor. I am a father. My wife, before she passed, was a music therapist. From her, I learned one thing: to listen to the music that's underneath the noise. I never claimed to cure Lyra. I only gave her the right note, to help her find her own melody again." Then it was Isolde's turn. She stood, and a silence thick with anticipation fell over the courtroom. "It's true," she said, her voice clear and firm. "I have made every mistake possible. I tried to fill my daughter's silence with the noise of success, thinking my love could be measured in paid invoices. I was wrong." She looked at Kaylin. "This man, an employee of mine, taught me what dozens of experts couldn't. He didn't teach me a therapy. He taught me to sit on the floor. To be quiet. To listen. If that makes me an unstable mother, then I am guilty. And I am prepared to lose everything to keep that guilt." Her vulnerability became her strength. Her redemption was not a shouted victory, but a whispered admission that disarmed the entire room. Isolde did not go back to being the same. Together with Kaylin, she founded the Resonance Room, a revolutionary center for children with sensory hypersensitivity. A place based on listening, not on diagnosis. This story teaches us something powerful. The true value of a person isn't in the uniform they wear or the title they hold, but in their ability to offer another soul, in the midst of their storm, a single, pure note of listening. True greatness is not about commanding, but about understanding. And now, it's your turn. Have you ever felt judged for your role, for your job? Or have you ever discovered a hidden treasure in a person everyone else took for granted? Tell us in the comments. Your stories are the most important part of this channel. If this video gave you something to think about, leave a like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe so you don't miss other stories that look beyond appearances. Thank you for spending your time with us. And remember, never underestimate the power of a single, gentle note of attention. It can change a world. See you soon.